Lagos did not believe in silence. Even at midnight, the city breathed loudly, generators humming like restless insects, Danfo conductors shouting last-minute routes, distant music vibrating through humid air. Somewhere, always, something moved. And somewhere within that movement, lives changed without warning. Amoka and Tenny lived on the third floor of a tired concrete building squeezed between a barber shop and a mechanic workshop in Suralia. The building leaned slightly to the left, like it had grown exhausted from holding too many dreams. Their apartment was one room. One window. One flickering fan that rotated with the stubbornness of an old man refusing retirement. They shared everything: wardrobe space, cooking duties, phone chargers, secrets, disappointments, and hope. Especially hope. Hope was the cheapest thing in Lagos. It cost nothing to carry and everything to maintain. 3 years earlier, they had arrived from different towns but became sisters within weeks. Lagos had that effect. When survival depended on connection, friendship hardened quickly into family. They promised each other something simple. We will rise together. But promises made in excitement often weaken under pressure. And Lagos was pressure. Tenny adapted first. She was quiet, observant, disciplined. She learned digital marketing through free online courses, built portfolios, chased clients, survived rejection, and slowly, painfully slowly, built stability. Not success. Just stability. Amoka was different. She had beauty that turned heads effortlessly. Confidence that filled rooms. Charm that made strangers remember her. She entered Lagos believing opportunity would recognize her immediately. Instead, Lagos admired her, then ignored her. She tried influencing, modeling, brand promotion, online businesses. Each began with excitement and ended with silence. Meanwhile, bills remained loud. On a Thursday night heavy with heat, electricity vanished again. Darkness swallowed the room except for the pale glow of Tenny's laptop battery. She was working. Always working. Amoka lay on the mattress scrolling through her phone, frowning at numbers that refused to grow: followers, engagement, bank balance. Her chest felt tight. Unfairness had weight. She could feel it pressing against her ribs. Finally, Tenny spoke without looking up. Amoka, did you transfer your part of the rent? A pause. A long pause. Amoka swallowed. Not yet. Typing stopped. Silence grew thick. When? Tenny asked calmly. Soon. How soon? Amoka sat up. Why are you sounding like my landlord? Because the landlord is sounding like eviction. The words landed hard. Amoka looked away. I invested money into a collaboration opportunity. Tenny turned slowly. With who? A lifestyle brand. Signed contract. No. Written agreement. No. Tenny inhaled slowly, controlling frustration. You gave rent money, to a promise. Amoka's voice sharpened. You don't understand how exposure works. I understand survival, Tenny replied quietly. The room tightened. Outside, a generator roared to life. Vibrations crept through the floor. Amoka's chest burned. Shame twisted into anger, faster than she could stop it. You think you're smarter than me now, she snapped. Because you have clients. I think we need stability. You think I'm irresponsible. I think you're desperate. Silence exploded between them. Amoka stood abruptly. At least I'm trying to be something bigger than surviving. And what is wrong with surviving? Tenny asked softly. That softness cut deeper than shouting. Amoka grabbed her handbag. I need air. She stepped into the corridor before tears could betray her. The Lagos night wrapped around her instantly, warm, noisy, alive. She walked without direction at first, letting anger guide her feet through familiar chaos: roadside food smoke, distant sirens, headlights slicing darkness. But deep inside, she did have direction. A rumor she had ignored for months returned now, sharper, louder. Behind Ojulegba bus park, people said, there was a woman who understood movement. Not traffic movement. Life movement. Some said she fixed luck. Some said she rearranged fate. Some said those who visited never remained the same, for better or worse. Desperation silences caution. Amoka found the alley easily. It was narrower than expected, squeezed between two crumbling buildings. A single yellow bulb flickered above a wooden door painted black. She hesitated. Then knocked. The door opened almost immediately, as if expected. The woman standing there had eyes that looked both young and ancient. Calm. Still. Observing more than seeing. You are tired of waiting, the woman said. Amoka's breath caught. Yes. Come in. Inside smelled like incense and damp earth. The room contained no furniture except a small wooden table and two stools. What do you want? The woman asked. Amoka didn't pretend. I want my life to move forward. The woman nodded slowly. In cities, she said, destiny behaves like traffic. Some lanes flow. Others remain blocked for years. She leaned forward slightly. But crossroads are different. Amoka listened intensely. At crossroads, the woman continued, movement decides who advances, and who waits. Her voice dropped lower. Destiny can be exchanged there. The room seemed to grow colder. How? Amoka whispered. Stand beside the one whose life moves faster than yours. At midnight. At a traffic light. When red becomes green. She paused. Step over her shadow. Amoka's heartbeat pounded in her ears. That's all. The woman's gaze sharpened. City destiny is watched by cameras, glass, reflections, signals. It records imbalance. Amoka didn't fully understand. But she understood enough. Opportunity. Movement. Escape. At 11:58 p.m. the next night, Amoka stood beside Tenny at a quiet intersection along Western Avenue. She had apologized earlier, suggested a midnight walk to clear their heads. Tenny agreed. They stood under a glowing red traffic light. No cars passed. No wind blew. Just waiting. 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 Then. Green. Amoka moved instantly. Her foot crossed Tenny's shadow on the asphalt. A sudden gust of wind rushed through the intersection, violent and brief, like something passing between worlds. Above them, a CCTV camera flickered. Neither woman noticed. But somewhere within Lagos' endless network of wires, lenses, and reflections, something recorded the moment destiny changed lanes. And something else began moving toward the crossroads. The first change was so small it almost felt imaginary. 3 mornings after the midnight walk, Amoka woke to 20 missed calls. She stared at her phone, confused. Nobody ever called her that persistently unless something was wrong. But nothing was wrong. Everything was right. A skincare brand she had messaged months ago wanted her for a major campaign. Not just a repost. Not just free products. A paid contract. Advance payment. Real money. Her heart pounded as she reread the message again and again, afraid it might disappear if she blinked too hard. By afternoon, the payment reflected in her account. No delay. No excuses. No, we will get back to you. Just money. Clean. Instant. Certain. She screamed with excitement, grabbing Tenny and spinning her around the tiny room. It's happening, she shouted. Finally happening. Tenny smiled, genuinely happy. She had prayed for this moment more times than she could count. She had watched Amoka cry quietly at night, thinking she slept. Success felt overdue. Deserved. Normal. At least, that's what it seemed. 2 days later, another brand reached out. Then a fashion shoot invitation. Then a lifestyle collaboration. Then a paid appearance at an influencer event. Opportunities arrived like traffic after rain, sudden, heavy, unstoppable. Amoka moved through the days in stunned disbelief. Her follower count climbed rapidly. Her engagement tripled. Strangers recognized her in public. Doors opened. People responded faster. Even her photos looked brighter. More magnetic. As if light preferred her now. But while Amoka's world accelerated, something else slowed. Quietly. Subtly. Relentlessly. Tenny lost her biggest client on Monday. No warning. No explanation. Just a short message. We are restructuring. Thank you for your service. On Tuesday, her laptop froze mid-project and refused to restart for 3 hours. When it finally came back on, half her files had corrupted. On Wednesday, her carefully prepared visa application, the one she had worked on for nearly a year, was rejected. No reason given. Just rejection. She stared at the email for a long time, feeling something cold spreading inside her chest. Bad luck happened. But bad luck rarely arrived in sequence. The headaches began next. Not painful at first. Just pressure behind her eyes. A strange heaviness in her temples, like someone pressing invisible fingers against her skull. Then came the nosebleeds. Sudden. Random. Unexplained. She dismissed everything as stress. Lagos demanded resilience. You didn't question difficulty, you endured it. But her body felt out of rhythm. Like she was walking slightly out of step with reality. Meanwhile, Amoka's life surged forward like a car with no traffic lights. She attended events in places she had only seen online. Rooftop lounges. Private lunch parties. Exclusive gatherings where cameras flashed constantly and conversations floated around money, influence, expansion. People listened when she spoke. Men offered partnerships. Women asked for advice. Brands treated her like an investment. One evening, after returning from a luxury dinner event, she stood before their bedroom mirror removing her makeup. She paused. Her reflection blinked half a second late. She frowned. Blink. Normal again. She leaned closer. Nothing strange. Just tired eyes and perfect lighting. She laughed softly at herself and turned away. But behind her, the mirror seemed to hold still a moment longer than it should have. Tenny noticed something different first. It happened on a quiet Thursday evening. Amoka was filming a promotional video, laughing brightly into her phone camera. Ring light glowing. Confidence radiant. Tenny sat on the bed behind her, watching absent-mindedly. Then she glanced toward the wardrobe mirror. Her breath stopped. For less than a second. Amoka's reflection was not Amoka. It was her. Same posture. Same movement. But her own face stared back from Amoka's body. Tenny blinked sharply. The image corrected instantly. Her heart pounded violently. She said nothing. The city began noticing too. Traffic lights near Amoka stayed red longer than usual when she approached intersections. Security cameras flickered briefly as she passed beneath them. Once, at a shopping mall entrance, the facial recognition gate refused to scan her, displaying an error message repeatedly until a guard manually opened the barrier. System glitch, he said casually. But his eyes lingered on her face with quiet confusion. At night, the apartment felt different. Still. Dense. Like air holding memory. One evening, as Amoka scrolled through her exploding notifications, the television suddenly switched on by itself. Static filled the screen. Then, a frozen image appeared. A traffic light. Red. Perfectly still. Amoka grabbed the remote quickly and switched it off, laughing nervously. Power fluctuation, she said. But Tenny was staring at the dark screen, her expression tight. Because for a split second before it turned off, she thought she saw two shadows standing beneath that traffic light. Not one. Two. Overlapping. Fighting for space. That night, long after Amoka slept, Tenny stood before the mirror in the dark. She leaned closer, studying her reflection carefully. Something is wrong, she whispered. The mirror remained silent. But behind her, the window glass reflected the faint glow of distant traffic lights changing from red to green, then back to red again. Over and over. Like something waiting. Watching. Timing. Across the city, at the same quiet intersection where destiny had shifted. The CCTV camera flickered again. Its screen displayed corrupted footage, two silhouettes standing where only one person should be. The system tried to correct the error. But the recording would not stabilize. somewhere deep within wires, circuits, and digital memory. An imbalance had been registered. And the city, modern, electric, always observing, had begun correcting it. In Lagos, nothing stays hidden for long. Not mistakes. Not secrets. Not stolen things. The city records everything, in glass towers, traffic sensors, security cameras, elevator mirrors, phone screens, dashboard reflections, storefront windows. Light bounces endlessly across surfaces, and every reflection carries memory. And memory had started misbehaving. Tenny knew it before she could explain it. The world no longer aligned properly around her. It began with movement. People brushed past her without noticing. Conversations slipped around her like water flowing around stone. Even sounds felt slightly delayed, like reality had poor internet connection. She dropped a glass one afternoon and instinctively reached to catch it. Her hand moved. But the glass hit the floor before she finished the motion. Too fast. Or she was too slow. She could not tell which. Meanwhile, Amoka's success had moved beyond luck into something aggressive, something forceful, like the city was pushing her forward whether she wanted balance or not. She received invitations she never applied for. One luxury fashion brand offered her a contract after seeing her in the background of someone else's video. Another company sent her a payment meant for a different influencer, but when they tried to reverse it, their system showed her name as the original recipient. Even strangers seemed drawn to her unnaturally. People stared longer than normal. Conversations turned in her direction without reason. Attention followed her like heat. But attention has weight. And weight bends reality. The first time Amoka truly felt fear was inside an elevator. She had just finished a high-profile brand meeting inside a glass office building in Victoria Island. Everything had gone perfectly, too perfectly. They praised her creativity, offered expansion opportunities, even hinted at international exposure. She entered the elevator alone, smiling at her reflection in the mirrored walls. The doors slid shut. The elevator descended. Floor 8. Floor 7. Floor 6. She blinked casually. And froze. Her reflection was not blinking. It stared straight ahead, completely still. Amoka's breath caught. Slowly, very slowly, the reflection turned its head toward her. A movement she had not made. The elevator jerked violently, lights flickering. Her reflection snapped back into sync. Normal. Perfectly normal. When the doors opened, Amoka rushed out, heart pounding so loudly she could barely hear the lobby noise around her. She told herself it was stress. Fatigue. Too much work. Too much excitement. But deep inside, something cold had awakened. That same night, Tenny woke from sleep gasping. Her nose was bleeding heavily, more than before. The pillow beneath her face was soaked dark. But that wasn't what frightened her. It was the dream. She had been standing at the traffic light again. Red glowing above. But this time, she had no shadow. And beside her stood Amoka, with two shadows stretching in different directions. Both attached. Both moving. Both alive. Morning brought no relief. Tenny walked through the market and noticed something disturbing. Shadows around her did not behave normally. People's shadows leaned slightly toward Amoka whenever she was near, as if pulled by invisible gravity. Even reflections in packed car windows bent subtly toward her image. The city's surfaces preferred her. Chose her. Centered her. Like everything was slowly recalibrating around a new owner. Technology started failing more often. At a supermarket checkout, Amoka's payment registered twice, but her bank only deducted once. Her phone camera occasionally saved photos that neither she nor anyone else remembered taking. Always the same location. A traffic intersection. Always at night. Always empty. Except for two overlapping silhouettes standing beneath the signal light. Tenny could not ignore it anymore. One evening, as Amoka celebrated reaching 100,000 followers, Tenny grabbed her wrist firmly. "We need to talk." Amoka laughed lightly. "Can it wait? I'm about to go live." "No." Something in Tenny's voice stopped her. They sat facing each other on the mattress. The room felt heavier than usual. Even the air seemed to press inward, listening. Tenny spoke slowly. Our lives switched. Amoka's stomach dropped instantly. She forced a laugh. What? Your luck. My luck. Something changed that night at the traffic light. Silence stretched tight. Amoka said nothing. Tenny leaned closer, eyes sharp, exhausted, desperate. When you walk past mirrors, they hesitate. Cameras glitch around you. My body feels like it's fading. I saw your reflection wearing my face. Her voice trembled now. What did you do that night? Amoka's heart pounded so hard it hurt. She could lie. Should lie. But guilt has its own gravity. And gravity pulls truth upward. Very quietly, she whispered. I stepped over your shadow. The room went completely still. Even the fan seemed to pause mid-rotation. Tenny stared at her, stunned, then horrified. You, what? Amoka's voice cracked. A spiritualist said destiny changes at crossroads. I just wanted a chance. Just movement. Just something. You stole my life. I didn't mean to. You stole my life. The lights flickered violently. The television turned on by itself again. Static screamed across the screen. Then the image appeared clearly. The same traffic intersection. But now something stood beneath the red light. Tall. Distorted. Shifting between shapes like broken reflection. Waiting. The screen went black. Neither woman spoke. Neither breathed. Because deep inside both of them, they understood something terrifying. Destiny had not simply been exchanged. It had been recorded. And now, something at the crossroads was reviewing the footage. The traffic light began appearing everywhere. Not physically. Not always. But in ways that could not be explained. It started with sound. Late at night, when Lagos softened into restless silence, Amoka began hearing the faint mechanical click of traffic signals changing. Red. Pause. Green. Pause. Yellow. Again. And again. The sound did not come from outside. It came from inside the apartment. From the walls. From the ceiling. From the space between breaths. Tenny heard it too. At first she thought it was imagination, trauma-twisting perception. But the rhythm was precise. Mechanical. Measured. Like a system running a time cycle. One night she placed her ear against the wall. The sound grew louder. Red. Green. Red. Green. She stepped back slowly, heart racing. It's counting, she whispered. Amoka, sitting on the bed, felt cold spread down her spine. Counting to what? Then came the messages. Amoka's phone began receiving corrupted image files. No sender. No number. Just blank notifications that appeared at exactly 12 a.m. When she opened them, each file showed the same location. The intersection. Empty. Silent. But every night, the camera angle moved closer. Night 1, wide area view. Night 2, street level. Night 3, standing at the pedestrian line. Night 4, facing the traffic light directly. Night 5. Something stood beside the pole. Not fully visible. But tall enough to block part of the signal glow. Tenny's condition worsened rapidly. Her headaches became crushing waves. Her nosebleeds lasted longer. Sometimes she felt sudden dizziness so intense she had to grip walls to remain standing. And shadows no longer stayed with her consistently. Under bright light, sometimes she had none. Under dim light, sometimes two appeared, flickering, unstable, uncertain where to attach. She stopped leaving the apartment whenever possible. Meanwhile, Amoka's success had crossed into something unnatural even to outsiders. Brands competed aggressively for her attention. Payments arrived before negotiations finished. Opportunities materialized without introduction. But joy had vanished. Every success now felt like borrowed air, breathable, but not hers. Mirrors rarely aligned properly anymore. Her reflection occasionally moved a fraction too soon or too late. And sometimes, it didn't follow at all. The first physical sign appeared on a Tuesday evening. Amoka returned home and froze at the doorway. Across the living room wall, where nothing had ever hung before, a faint glow pulsed in circular rhythm. Red. Green. Red. Green. The light had no source. It simply appeared, like a projection from another layer of reality. Tenny saw it too. Neither spoke for a long time. Because both understood. The crossroads was no longer waiting outside. It was reaching inward. 3 nights later, the television switched on again. But this time, the image did not freeze. The screen showed live footage. The intersection at midnight. Rain falling gently. Traffic lights cycling. No cars. No people. Just empty space humming with presence. Then, the camera shifted slightly, as if something adjusted it manually. The view zoomed closer. 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 Until the pedestrian line filled the screen. A faint whisper emerged from the speakers. Mechanical. Distorted. Layered voices overlapping. Return to alignment. The lights in the apartment flickered violently. The fan stopped spinning completely. Silence swallowed the room. Then the screen went black. Amoka could no longer deny what she had done. And Tenny could no longer survive what had been taken. We have to go back, Tenny said weakly. Amoka nodded slowly, fear tightening every muscle in her body. The woman, the spiritualist, maybe she can reverse it. The next evening, they returned to the alley behind Ojulegba bus park. But the wooden black door was gone. In its place stood a blank concrete wall, smooth, seamless, untouched. No bulb. No entrance. No sign anyone had ever been there. As if the encounter had been erased from physical reality. But destiny, once altered, does not disappear. It only relocates. Midnight approached. Neither woman needed to discuss where they must go. Their bodies already knew. The intersection looked exactly the same. Empty. Still. Silent. But the air felt heavier, dense like water before a storm. The red traffic light glowed brighter than normal, almost pulsing. Amoka's chest tightened. Tenny's legs trembled. They stepped onto the pedestrian line together. Waiting. The signal did not change. Seconds stretched longer than time should allow. Then something impossible happened. The traffic lights froze. All 3 colors illuminated at once. Red. Yellow. Green. Simultaneously. The air vibrated. Street lights flickered rapidly. And slowly. On the asphalt between them. A shadow formed. Not attached to either of them. It stretched upward, rising vertically from the ground like darkness gaining height. Shifting. Glitching. Splitting into overlapping outlines that didn't agree on shape. Like corrupted footage trying to stabilize. Amoka couldn't breathe. Tenny couldn't move. The shadow leaned toward them both, then divided into 2 forms, each trying to mirror one of them, but failing to match completely. A sound emerged, like thousands of camera shutters clicking at once. Recording. Comparing. Correcting. The traffic lights flickered violently. Then turned fully red. A voice, mechanical and ancient at once, vibrated through the intersection. Misalignment detected. The ground trembled faintly. Destination conflict unresolved. The shadow stretched wider. Recalibration required. Amoka screamed. Tenny collapsed to her knees. The light turned yellow. The shadow moved closer. One more step, and it would touch them. The signal shifted. Green. And the shadow lunged forward. The shadow moved faster than fear. It did not run. It did not step. It expanded, like darkness remembering how to occupy space. Amoka tried to move backward, but her feet refused. The ground beneath her felt magnetic, holding her in place. Tenny collapsed beside her, hands pressed against the asphalt, breathing shallow and uneven. The traffic lights above them glowed all 3 colors at once again. Red. Yellow. Green. Past. Pause. Move. All at the same time. The shadow split in front of them, stretching into two overlapping human outlines. One shape leaned toward Amoka. The other leaned toward Tenny. Both flickered violently, unable to settle. The mechanical voice returned, vibrating through the air like electricity traveling through wet wire. Identity conflict. The shadows twitched. Pathway corruption. The air grew colder. Original alignment required. Amoka finally found her voice. I didn't mean to steal anything, she cried. I just wanted my life to move forward. The shadow facing her tilted slightly, as if listening. Then it glitched, distorting, reforming, stretching taller. Movement obtained through displacement, the voice responded. Displacement generates imbalance. Tenny lifted her head weakly. My life is fading, she whispered. The shadow facing her paused darker, as if absorbing her words. System degradation detected, the voice said. A long pause followed. Then. Correction requires exchange. The traffic lights above them went completely dark. For the first time since they arrived, the intersection had no color. No signal. No instruction. Just waiting. The shadow moved again, merging into a single towering shape standing directly between them. Then something appeared on the asphalt. A line. Thin. Glowing faint white. Perfectly dividing the space between Amoka and Tenny. The voice spoke again. One must cross. One must remain. Balance demands a permanent path. Amoka's chest tightened violently. What does that mean? She whispered. The shadow stretched one long arm toward the glowing line. Destiny cannot be shared once corrupted. It must stabilize through anchoring. Tenny understood first. Her breath shook. One of us, she whispered slowly, stays with the crossroads. Silence swallowed everything. Even the distant Lagos night felt paused, like the entire city held its breath. Amoka shook her head violently. No. No, 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 we reverse it. Take it back. Reset everything. The shadow did not move. Time cannot reverse after integration. Tenny looked at Amoka, really looked, for the first time since everything changed. Her voice was soft. Fragile. But clear. You wanted movement, she said gently. You got it. Tears filled Amoka's eyes instantly. I didn't know the cost. No one who steals destiny ever does. The glowing line paused brighter. Waiting. Choosing required action. And the shadow would not wait forever. Amoka fell to her knees, sobbing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But apologies do not rebalance systems. They only acknowledge damage. Tenny slowly stood. Her legs trembled violently, but she forced herself upright. The wind around the intersection had begun swirling, slow, circular, like a vortex forming around stillness. She looked at the glowing line. Then back at Amoka. And something inside her settled. Calm. Acceptance. Strange peace. I've been disappearing anyway, she said quietly. This just makes it official. Amoka screamed, grabbing her arm. No. We live together. We run. But the moment she pulled Tenny backward, the shadow surged forward violently. The ground cracked beneath their feet. The traffic lights above exploded into blinding brightness. The voice thundered. Balance requires willing alignment. The wind roared like engines. The city lights flickered across distant buildings. Reality itself seemed unstable. Tenny gently removed Amoka's hands from her arm. Her eyes were clear now. Steady. You didn't just take my luck, she said softly. You took my direction. My path. My forward. She stepped closer to the glowing line. Let me anchor it back. Amoka collapsed, sobbing uncontrollably. I can't live with that. You already are. Tenny smiled sadly. Just live honestly now. And before fear could return. She stepped across the line. Instantly, the shadow surged upward, swallowing her silhouette completely. Light exploded from the traffic signal above. Red. Yellow. Green. Perfect sequence. Perfect timing. Perfect order. The wind stopped. The ground stilled. The shadow shrank, then collapsed inward, then vanished completely. The glowing line faded. The intersection returned to normal. Quiet. Empty. Balanced. Amoka lay alone on the asphalt, shaking violently. Her chest rose and fell rapidly. The world felt stable again. Aligned. But unbearably silent. Tenny was gone. Not taken. Not dragged. Anchored. Part of the crossroads now. A permanent correction point. A living calibration inside the city's endless flow of movement. Months passed. Amoka's success remained. But it felt different now. Heavy. And through loss. Every traffic light she approached changed normally. Every mirror reflected her correctly. Every camera recorded her clearly. Balance restored. System stabilized. But sometimes, late at night. When she stood at certain intersections. When the signal stayed red just a little too long. She noticed something. A second shadow beside her. Still. Watching. Not attached. But present. Waiting for alignment to hold. Because in cities where everything is recorded, corrections are never fully erased. They remain, observing, ensuring stability continues. Moral. You cannot hack destiny without paying a digital price. And in a world that records everything, balance will always find a way to restore itself. Thank you for watching and supporting this channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Hit the bell button for more videos.